A chilling new warning has just come straight from Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Sweden, and it has shifted the entire calculation of the Iran crisis. America's top diplomat has dropped a bombshell two-word phrase that has put Tehran on notice and the world on edge. Plan B. Yes, the United States now officially has a Plan B if Iran refuses to cooperate, refuses to open the Strait of Hormuz, and refuses to walk away from its nuclear ambitions. Tonight, we break down exactly what Plan B could look like, why a retired Iraqi invasion commander says Iran is playing a dangerous religious game, and how close the world truly is to a major military confrontation. Stay with us because this story is moving fast. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is currently in Sweden meeting with NATO partners, and he chose this moment to deliver one of the most consequential statements of his tenure. America, Rubio declared, must also have a Plan B. The secretary laid out the scenario in stark terms. What if Iran refuses to open the straits? What if they decide they own the straits and want to charge tolls for international shipping? At that point, Rubio said something has to be done about it. And then Rubio dropped another crucial line. He pointed out that there are countries represented at the NATO meeting who are even more deeply impacted by this crisis than the United States itself. European nations depend heavily on oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz. Asian economies depend on it. Global commerce hangs in the balance. And so the responsibility for solving this cannot fall on American shoulders alone. The Allies must step up. The Allies must contribute. The Allies must accept that Plan B may eventually require collective action. The message coming out of Sweden is unmistakable. The diplomatic window is still open, but it is closing fast. And when it closes, the United States and its allies will have to choose between accepting Iranian extortion of the global economy or taking decisive military action to end the threat once and for all. NBC's reporter on the ground in Dubai delivered a fascinating insider perspective. According to a top advisor to the president of the United Arab Emirates, the chances of a U.S.-Iran peace deal happening right now are about 50-50. That is essentially a coin flip, a gamble on the future of Middle East peace. And that advisor expressed a very specific concern. In the past, Iran has consistently overplayed its hand. The regime has consistently overestimated the cards it carries to the negotiating table. The Ayatollahs have consistently believed they hold more leverage than they actually do. And that miscalculation has led to every previous deal collapsing, every previous negotiation failing, and every previous diplomatic effort ending in disappointment. The UAE advisor is hoping that this time, Iran finally understands the reality of its situation. The reality is that the United States Navy has a 100% effective blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Nobody is getting through without American permission. Iran's economy is collapsing under sanctions. The regime in Tehran is isolated like never before. And the only smart move left for Iran is to take the deal President Trump is offering and walk away from the brink. Then came one of the most explosive moments from the Oval Office yesterday. President Trump was asked directly whether Iran can keep its highly enriched uranium under any potential deal. The president's answer was crystal clear and absolutely devastating to Iranian hopes. No, the president said, we will get it. We do not need it. We do not want it. We will probably destroy it after we get it. We will not let them have it. Read that response again because it represents a complete shift in American foreign policy. President Trump is not negotiating over whether Iran can keep some symbolic amount of enriched uranium. He is not offering a sunset clause that would allow Iran to resume enrichment in 10 or 15 years. He is demanding the complete and total removal of Iranian enriched uranium from Iranian soil. And then he is going to destroy it. Permanently. Forever. This is what the Obama nuclear deal failed to do. This is what the Kerry diplomacy could never achieve. This is the standard that Iran must accept, or Plan B becomes the only option remaining on the table. A retired colonel and former Iraqi invasion commander joined the broadcast with an analysis that every American needs to hear. The colonel explained something that mainstream media rarely discusses, but that drives Iranian behavior more than any economic or military calculation. Iran is a Shia Islamic theocracy. Approximately 90% of the world's Muslim population is Sunni, but Iran represents the Shia minority. And the Shia faith holds a unique and dangerous belief at its core. Many Shia clerics believe they must actively sow chaos in the world in order to bring about the apocalypse and usher in the return of their hidden imam. Let that sink in. According to the colonel, this apocalyptic mission is not just talk. It is written into Iranian government documents. The regime in Tehran believes it has a religious duty to stir chaos across the Middle East and around the world. They believe their role is to accelerate the end times. And that is precisely why a nuclear weapon would be so advantageous to them. A nuclear-armed Iran would have the ultimate tool for bringing about the apocalypse they actively seek. This is the existential threat that President Trump understands and that previous administrations refused to acknowledge. You cannot negotiate with a regime that believes it has a holy mission to bring about the end of the world. You can only contain them, deter them, or eliminate the threat entirely. The colonel made another point that should reassure every American worried about whether America can actually enforce its red lines. The president is absolutely correct that Iran will not be allowed to keep its enriched uranium. America does not have to physically take the material. America can destroy it on Iranian soil. Other nations can take it. Or America can simply prevent Iran from ever using it. The key insight is this: Iran does not have the material available to make nuclear weapons under any acceptable outcome. The supply chain can be cut, the enrichment facilities can be destroyed, the scientists can be neutralized, and the regime can be denied its apocalyptic ambitions through any number of military and intelligence operations that the United States has at its disposal. This is the Trump doctrine in action. It is not about taking territory. It is not about regime change. It is about denying Iran the one weapon that would make it impossible to deter. Take away the nuclear option and Iran becomes a manageable problem. Allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon and the world enters a permanent state of nuclear hostage-taking. Segment 6, the China connection. The colonel raised another critical point that ties the Iran crisis to a much bigger global picture. The People's Republic of China is watching every move Iran makes in the Strait of Hormuz, and China is doing the exact same thing in the South China Sea right now. Beijing has been claiming for years that international waterways belong to them. They build artificial islands. They establish military bases. They harass commercial shipping. They tell the world that the South China Sea is Chinese property and that international ships must operate at Chinese sufferance. If Iran succeeds in establishing toll booths on the Strait of Hormuz, China will use that precedent to justify even more aggressive actions in the South China Sea. The entire post-World War II system of free international waterways collapses. Every choke point on planet Earth becomes a potential source of extortion. Every dictator with a stretch of coastline becomes a potential toll collector. And the global economy enters an era of permanent uncertainty and disruption. This is why Plan B matters so much. It is not just about Iran. It is about establishing the principle that international waterways belong to all nations and that no rogue regime will be allowed to hold global commerce hostage. Segment 7, Oman and the UAE choose sides. The colonel offered a fascinating analysis of how Gulf nations are aligning themselves in this crisis. He pointed to Oman as a particularly interesting case. Oman sits at the tip of the Arabian Peninsula, directly across the Strait of Hormuz from Iran. And right now, Oman is trying to figure out whether to participate in what the colonel called Iran's gangster racket. Iran has surrounded itself with potential collaborators. To its east lies Pakistan, where the army chief is now traveling to mediate negotiations. To its south across the Gulf lies Oman, which Iran is trying to recruit into the toll booth scheme. And then there is the United Arab Emirates, which has emerged as one of America's strongest allies in this crisis. The UAE has made its position abundantly clear. They are not participating in Iran's extortion scheme. They are aligning fully with the United States. They are warning that any Iranian attempt to control the Strait of Hormuz would have catastrophic global repercussions. And they are now treating the Iranian nuclear program as their #1 national security priority, up from priority 2 or 3 before the war began. This is the kind of diplomatic alignment that strengthens America's hand at the negotiating table. Iran is increasingly isolated. The Gulf is increasingly unified. And the choice facing the Ayatollahs is becoming more stark by the day. 2 more crucial diplomatic developments are unfolding right now. Reuters has confirmed that Qatar has sent a negotiating team to Iran to help secure a deal to end the war. And Pakistan is intensifying its mediation efforts with its army chief traveling to Tehran. This represents an unprecedented level of regional engagement in trying to prevent a military catastrophe. Qatar has historically played the role of neutral mediator in Middle East disputes. Pakistan has unique credibility with both Washington and Tehran because of its dual relationships with the United States and Iran. And both nations understand that a war between America and Iran would devastate the entire region. But here is the question every American should be asking. Why are these diplomatic efforts intensifying right now? The answer is simple. Because the clock is running out. Because Iran is approaching nuclear breakout capability. Because the United States is signaling that drastic action is on the table. And because every responsible actor in the region understands that the window for peaceful resolution is closing rapidly. The host on the broadcast made a crucial observation. The economic clock is ticking faster than any other clock right now. Iran's economy is collapsing under sanctions. Iranian families are suffering. Iranian businesses are closing. The Iranian currency is in free fall. And the regime in Tehran is being squeezed between the hammer and the anvil of American economic pressure. This is why diplomats believe a deal might actually be possible. Iran cannot survive another year of this economic warfare. The regime needs sanctions relief. The regime needs investment. The regime needs to reconnect to the global economy. And the only way to achieve any of those things is to accept the terms that President Trump is offering. But Iran has a habit of making catastrophic miscalculations. They overplay their cards. They believe their own propaganda. They convince themselves that America will blink first. And every time they make that mistake, they pay a terrible price. The bottom line is this. Secretary Rubio has officially put Plan B on the table. President Trump has declared that Iran will never keep its enriched uranium. The Gulf nations are aligning against Tehran. Pakistan and Qatar are mediating frantically. And the United States Navy has total control of the Strait of Hormuz. The choice is now in Tehran's hands. They can accept President Trump's offer, dismantle their nuclear program, surrender their enriched uranium, and reintegrate into the global economy. Or they can refuse, watch Plan B unfold, and discover what drastic American action truly looks like. For all the latest breaking news on Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, Marco Rubio's NATO diplomacy, and President Trump's foreign policy, like this video, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Stay informed. Stay alert. America first,